Welcome to WatchNet TV and another edition of What's in the Box, or as you can see from your screen, What's in the Boxes. I thought I'd do something a little bit different in this edition and take a look at a couple of generations of the Rolex Explorer side by side, given that there's so many opinions floating around on the forums about the new 39mm version not being up to standard or up to par. I thought it'd be nice just to compare the two. So let's see what's in the boxes. The first one is an Explorer 1 reference 114270 that has been a staple in the Rolex lineup for well over 10 years now. This particular watch was sold initially in October of 2005. Features a standard 3130 caliber movement and is on the, again, what is the standard 78-690 bracelet. It's a standard flip-lock bracelet that everybody kind of is familiar with, that has been on the Explorer and the GMT Master and some of the other sports watches with different clasp types mounted to them. See if I can get this part for us. But it is the standard stamped shroud and stamp folding deployment mechanism buckle that has been used for, as I said, many years now. I've always been especially fond of the Explorer dial. I think that it's one of the nicer, more simple dials that Rolex has ever designed. I like the integration of the Arabic numbers and the stick markers, and I just think it presents a very elegant presence for, especially for what is basically a sports watch. Explorer 1 has always been one of my favorites, and people say if you collect Rolexes for long enough that you wind up favoring the Explorer in many respects just for the dial. So let's put this one down for a second and then let's take a look at the newer version. As you probably know, this newer version is a 39mm case, which, although isn't a lot in terms of raw size, does make for a much more, how do I say, maybe just much more presence on the wrist than a 36mm watch. Rolex has nicely retained the dial style and layout, and hasn't tried to augment it with anything terribly new or different, which I think is great. These newer ones are on the 77-200 bracelet, which is a thicker solid link bracelet all the way through, and features a newer design clasp, which in this case this is all brushed center links, but it's basically the same bracelets that used on the GMT2 and the Explorer 2 and a number of other of the sports watches with different clasps. The clasp is a definite improvement. It's cut from solid billet steel. The folding deployment mechanism is heavier material. It may be stamped initially, but is much thicker and much more substantial than the older mechanism used to be. The clasp is, they've done some nice things with the new clasp. I mean, obviously we've talked about the glide lock clasp and some others. This particular mechanism is still adjustable across a number of centimeters, but instead of the external punch holes, the spring bar now slides and stops on internal detents on either side of the clasp. What Rolex has done, which I like with these newer bracelets in this clasp, is they've created a quick flip out feature. You can see the little clasp connector that comes apart when you pull it down, and it immediately adds another 5mm to the length of the bracelet without having to use any tools, which is nice. I mean, like a lot of people, I mean, if you wear a watch all day long, your wrist is often smaller at points in time in the morning than it is in the afternoon. So a little 5mm adjustment can make a lot of difference as you wear the watch all day long. But if we look at both of these together, you can kind of see similarities and differences. I mean, there obviously is a difference in size presence. A lot of people have criticized the newer version have criticized Rolex, I should say, for not extending the length of the handset on the newer model. And as a result, using the same hands, the second hand doesn't cover quite as much of the minute markers as it did in the 36mm version. And the minute hand doesn't quite touch the chapter markers either. I think it maybe is, it's probably splitting hairs. I think they both are really nice watches, and both have their visual appeal in their different sizes. I'll leave it to you to be the judge of whether they should have put a bigger handset on it or not, but I think that they've kind of held true to the design of the watch and produced a larger version that has as much visual appeal as the older ones. So these watches are both for sale, needless to say, at watchnut.com. So if you'd like to see close-up photography and kind of do another dial comparison in still motion, please go to watchnut.com and click on the Rolex watches for sale link, and you can take a look at both of them. Thanks for watching.